Very good morning, my dear friends. Myself, Dr. M.H. Annaya, presently Vice Principal at Saptagiri College of Engineering and former Principal at Dr. Shivakumara Mahaswamy College of Engineering. And I have this channel, my YouTube channel by name Mechanical Engineering Lecture Series, a channel formed around 3 months back with the sole intention of helping the teaching community and also the student community to share whatever the little knowledge I have got in my experience as a teacher for more than 4 decades in reputed colleges. And friends, for all this, I seek your support, your motivation. Unless you go through the complete video, get satisfied, share the information with all your friends, I will not be able to make any more videos which are going to have immense use to you. So my earnest request to you is, please subscribe to my channel, go through the complete video and share this video with all your friends and relatives and in general the student community and the faculty if you are satisfied with the presentation I make. Friends, in today's session I have taken a separate type of problem where a riveted joint is eccentrically loaded. So what is the meaning of eccentrical loading? When the load is not acting through the CG of the system of rivets, we say that the load is eccentric. Here friends, you can find you have a vertical support. This is the vertical support which is riveted to a horizontal plate by 1, 2, 3 number of rivets, and this is subjected to a load of 15 kilonewton. Friends, I am going to have this distance as 50 mm, this is 50 and this is 50 mm. So these are the distances of this. And friends, let us see, there is a definite procedure to be followed while designing an eccentrically loaded riveted joint. So in today's session, I am taking one of the simplest form of this eccentrically loaded riveted joint, and after learning the concept behind it, you should be able to solve any number of problems on this particular chapter depending on different orientation and number of rivets. Friends, here you have a load of 15 kilonewton and this is being shared by all these 3 rivets equally. So in such an arrangement of rivets, we have a different procedure to be followed. The first step is we find out the symmetry of the arrangement of rivets. For example, friends, you can see here the rivets are symmetrically arranged about this, and you got only one row of one column, one row here. That is, there are 3 rivets sharing this load. And very obviously the CG of this whole system falls here. I call this as G, the centroid or center of gravity of the whole rivet system. And the distance between the point of application of the load P and the CG is called eccentricity. This is given as E. E is the distance between the load axis and the CG of the rivet system. And friends, if you have got an arrangement like this wherein you have got more than one row of rivets and say it is subjected to load like this, in such cases friends, you will have to find out the both the x bar and the y bar. Suppose if you take this as the y axis, this as the x axis, we are going to find out the CG of the rivets like this, and this distance will give you the eccentricity in the rivet arrangement. So friends, here First of all, we have to evaluate or locate the center of gravity of the rivet system, that is at rivet number 2, and this is called the eccentricity. In the next step, step number 2, we are going to find out the shear load, direct shear load on each rivet. So how do you find out this direct shear load? I call this direct shear load as FD. Thus FD is equal to the total load to be carried by the system divided by I, the number of rivets. That is, in this system we are having a load of 15 kilonewton, that is 15 into 10 to the power of 3 Newton, that is being shared by 1, 2, 3 equally, that is by 3 will give you 5 into 10 to the power of 3 Newton, or in simple words, this is 5000 Newton. So friends, irrespective of the number of rivets, the arrangement of rivets, this FD is always equal to the total load divided by the number of rivets in the whole system. So this is called the direct shear load. And remember friends, this FD always acts at the center of each rivet and in the direction of the load applied. Friends, you can see here this P is acting downward, and hence this value of FD equal to 5000 should act at the center of each rivet and in the direction of it. So I will show this as FD, which is 5000. FD will also act here, that is again 5000, and at rivet number 3 also you have this FD acting downward, and the value is equal to 5000 Newton. Friends, instead if the load is acting upward, then this FD will act upward. So always this FD will act in the direction of the applied load P, and it will be parallel to that. So suppose the load is acting at an angle here, some angle like this. So FD will be acting parallel to that through the center of it, and the value of that FD will be equal to total load divided by the number of rivets sharing the load. So hence I will show this as FD acting downward. That is to say, at every rivet there is a direct shear load of FD of magnitude 5000 Newton acting in the downward direction. So this is the second step to be followed in the design of these eccentrically loaded riveted joints. Friends, finally, because of this eccentricity, there will be bending also. The bending moment is created about the CG, and you have here the load or the load due to this bending is given by a formula. P into E is equal to F1 by L1 multiplied by L1 square plus L2 square plus L3 square plus etc. depending on the number of rivets. If you have got 4 rivets in the system, it will go up to L4. If there are 5, up to L5. What are these values of P, E, etc.? And what is this F1? Friends, this F1 comma F2, which I am going to show you later, comma F3, etc. are called the secondary loads, Fs, which act at rivet number 1, rivet 2 and rivet 3. That is, at 1 this will be F1, at 2 this is F2, at 3 this is F3. And what is this eccentricity? I told you in the beginning of this session, eccentricity is the distance between the point of application of the load and the CG. So it is 250 in this case. And what is this F1? F1 is the secondary load at rivet number 1. Friends, remember these secondary loads F1, F2 and F3 act normal to L1, L2 and L3. What are these L1, L2, L3? So if you take G as the reference, this distance is called L1 and L2 is 0 because CG is coinciding. This is L3. Friends, in this particular problem, L1 from here to here is L1, that is equal to L3 and L2 is 0. And how does this F1, F2, F3 act is the next very important part of this. Friends, these secondary loads F1, F2 and F3 act normal to L1, L2, L3 such that they produce a moment similar to that produced by P about Cg. So, I will take up the case of only F1. Friends, here you can observe this P is producing a clockwise moment about Cg, G. So, also F1 which is acting here normal to this L1, this is L1, this should act normal so as to produce a similar moment about G. So, F1 is normal to this L1 which is 50 and it should produce a clockwise moment because P is producing a clockwise moment about G. And similarly, if you come to the third rivet number 3, F3 should act here perpendicular to that so that it is going to produce a clockwise moment, and at rivet 2 there is no distance and hence no moment is produced. So, friends, I have shown here how the direct load and shear load act at rivets number 1, 2, 3, etc. Remember again, the direct load, the direct shear load acts in the direction of P at the center of each rivet and of magnitude equal to the total load divided by the number of rivets. F1, F2, F3, etc. act normal to L1, L2, L3, etc. so as to produce a moment or a bending moment similar to that produced by P about the center of gravity. See, this part of the deliberation is very important. Unless you mark properly the direction of F1, F3, F2, etc., you will not be able to obtain the complete solution. Friends, now let us calculate what are these F1 and what are these F2. Friends, remember here we have this formula and let us see what are these. Friends, this P in this equation is 15 kilonewton multiplied by 10 to the power of 3 Newton multiplied by E, eccentricity is 250 millimeter, that is equal to F1 is a secondary load at rivet number 1 which is not known. L1 is the distance from the CG to the center of the first rivet. Distance from CG to the center of the third rivet is L3. So, L1 is equal to L3 in this case. So, I will say L1 is equal to L3 is equal to 50 mm. So, I will say F1 by 50 bracket L1 square plus L2 square plus L3 square. L1 square is 50 square, other one is 0, L2 is 0, the third one is 50 square. Friends, you get here 50 square plus 50 square, that is F1 divided by 50 multiplied by 50 square, 2500 plus 2500, that is equal to 5000, and this will be exactly equal to 100 times F1. And friends, if you get this value, so you will be able to obtain the value of F1. F1 will be equal to 15 into 250, 15 into 10,000 is 000 multiplied by 250 divided by this 100. So, this works out to 37,500 Newton. This is 37,500 Newtons is the value of F1. Friends, once you know F1, we should also be able to find out what is F3. Remember, F1 is F1 by L1 is F3 by L3. That is, the loads are directly proportional to the distance of those rivets from CG. So I want to find out what is F3. So F3 is equal to F1 multiplied by L3 divided by L1. You know L1 is equal to L3, and hence we have got F1 is equal to F3 is equal to 37,500 Newton. Friends, with the formula you are able to arrive at what are the secondary loads acting at rivet number 1 and 3. So friends, finally you will have to find out which is or identify which is the critically loaded rivet amongst 1, 2 and 3. Friends, how to find out that? If you observe rivet number 1, friend, we have F1 equal to F1 is acting upward, that is 37,500 is acting upward, whereas the direct shear load FD is acting is of magnitude 5000 is acting downward. So there is an effective pull of 37,000 minus 5,000 acting in the upward direction. So the resultant load at rivet number 1 will be 32,500, because that's only the difference between these two. 32,500, that is acting upward in the rivet system. Similarly, you have to find out what is the value of the resultant of direct load and the shear load at rivet number 3. Friends, if you observe this rivet number 3, there is a direct load FD is equal to 5000 newtons, along with the secondary load F3 is 37,500. So both of these loads are acting in the same direction. That is, this rivet is being pulled down by the sum of F3 plus FD. And friends, if you add up these two, it comes to 42,500 Newton. So friends, we have calculated the effect, the resultant effect of the direct load and the secondary load at rivets 1 and 3. Friends, and it is very obvious from the numerical value that the resultant load at rivet number 1 is 32,500 newtons, which is far lesser than the total resultant load at the rivet number 3, and hence we can conclude or take a decision that rivet number 3 is the critically loaded, and hence we can say the rivet 3 is critically loaded or heavily loaded, and the resultant load FR at rivet number 3 is equal to 37,500 plus 5,000 means 42,500 Newton. This is the resultant load acting at rivet number 3. Friends, we have come to the last step in the design of this. Based on this resultant load, we are going to find out the diameter of the rivet. So what do? This is the load acting on the rivet. The rivet fails by shear, and hence we are going to equate this resultant load on rivet 3 to the resistance offered by the rivets for shearing. So I am going to equate this value to pi d square by 4 multiplied by shear stress tau. Friends, here we got 2 points to be remembered in any problem. When they give you the shear stress tau in a joint like this, you will be able to find out what is D, the size of the rivet required in the system. If the shear stress is given, you can find out. If the diameter of the rivet is given, you will be able to find out what is the shear stress induced in the rivet. So in this problem, they have given clearly what is the shear stress. So I will say pi by 4 into d square multiplied by 60 the permissible shear stress, and hence if I equate this to 42,500, that is resultant load at 3, you will get the diameter of the rivet, and this diameter of the rivet works out to 31 point something, so millimeter, and the standard size of the rivet available is 33 mm. So this diameter of the rivet will be able to sustain the load of 15 kilonewton acting at a distance of 250 millimeter from the center of gravity of the rivet system. Friends, I hope the deliberation made on this eccentrically loaded riveted joint was useful to all of you, and I hope we are all convinced with the presentation I have made. If you are happy, do subscribe without fail. Your subscription will motivate me to make more such videos which are going to be of immense use to you. Thank you very much, my dear friends. Have a wonderful day. This is Professor M.H. Annaya signing off.